DR fam, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's been doing okay. Having a great week. Haven't been posting much because I haven't been trading much last few days. And honestly, I've been trading more and more scalping than really doing true DR. So I haven't really had a whole lot to talk about from a DR perspective. And I've also been doing a lot more Asian session trading. So that's 7 p.m. Kind of 7. I still have the DR set up, 7:30 to 8:30, but I've been scalping those more than I've been, sticking to the DR rules. I don't want to give you guys any false information. So anyway, didn't want to, have too many days go by without dropping the video. So I figured let me do some high time frame stuff and kind of talk about what we're doing as well. So if we look, we have a weekly chart here, and the ES, I think I have weekly on both. Yes. Okay. So ES on the left, NQ on the right. And again, for the weekly, not a whole lot going on here, right? So, and I say it in that way because, not a lot of DR action going on. But you can see, we had previous week, we had that huge drop, and then a recovery. And then this week we started out kind of on that drop, and now we're recovering again. A lot of that is NVIDIA earnings tonight. Have really moved the market. I believe we have FOMC this week, so we got to keep a head on the swivel about that one. Now, if we look at it from the NQ side, again on the weekly, kind of same motion, but what's interesting here is we have this really nice weekly fair value gap, which we dipped down into and, kind of reversed off of this week. So, again, the gaps kind of tend to do their thing. If you look at, let me go back to ES. Last week we dipped down. That's, we made that move once we dipped down into that fair value gap and shot back off, right? So no gaps here to work on. But again, that's why I like to look at both charts, because it kind of gives me an idea. Because both of these things, the charts tend to mirror themselves. It's just a matter of how things are structured, right? So that's the weekly. Let's go down to, let's go to daily real quick on both. Okay. And you can see we're on daily. We really are in sort of a consolidation period, right? If you look at this, and let me do it so we can see both of these, right? So we had that, we had that run up, and now we're just kind of consolidating here. Okay, same thing, run up, consolidation. So, if you're into higher highs and lower lows, you can see it. Let me clear this up so you can see it a little better. There's lower lows and lower highs, right? So what does that mean? You guys tell me what that means, right? Does that mean we're going to continue to go down? Does that mean we're going to reverse off of that? A lot of times what people will do is they will look at this and say, okay, if we're doing lower lows, once we break out of that pattern, then, price should go that way. Again, I'm not a pattern trader, so I don't know all the rules for that, and I don't claim to know all the rules for that, but again, I do know how to spot those patterns. But again, I'm scalping. I'm not DR trading right now. Definitely not pattern trading, because I just don't know how those, I don't know how they work all that well. All right. You guys can see all the flag patterns and all that other stuff. Hey, I'm happy for you. It's not my thing. Okay, but again, you can see on the daily, again, we are on a pretty much a consolidation. We have these fair value gaps here. So again, same thing that we talked about on the weekly, came down into weekly. We had a daily inside of a weekly, came down to it and then pushed back off of it. So if you're following NQ, that's a pretty good way to identify where the market's kind of going. Now, where we go next, again, we had the same issue we had last time, where there's really not a whole lot up here for us to kind of target. What I will be targeting are these buy-side liquidity zones, right? We have a daily and a weekly on that one, same thing here, right? So we can see potentially where we would have a potential for reversal if price decides to go up that high. Okay, so I might hit one of those two liquidity zones and then bounce and then reject off of it. So, but we'll see. We'll see what the market wants to do. I mean, we trade the market. We have our expectations, but our goal is to trade the market, not to try to make the market do what we want it to do. I've done that before, and I always lose money when I do that. All right. Um, the other thing that I'll talk about, I'm not gonna. I'll look at the 5 minute chart, but again, I didn't do any DR trades today because there was no DR trade today, really. I mean, not one that was significant enough for me to really take a lot of size on or anything like that. But I do talk about some of us that do that prop firm trading, whether it's Apex or Elite Trader funding. I've actually just started. Elite Trader funding actually have a pretty good evaluation sale going on right now. They had a 1 day one, which was pretty insane. Was getting accounts for $15, $16 a month, so I had to grab a couple of those, just kind of have them in my back pocket. And I got 2 static drawdown accounts, which is different than we normally have what they call a trailing drawdown account, right? And so the reason why I got that was because one of the challenges I have, especially trading NQ, NQ moves so fast, and you can make and lose money very, very quickly. It's very hard for me to set a true stop loss, and you could be out, you can blow an account or blow an evaluation without really even trying. I mean, I've done it a couple of times, right? That's what I was saying. If you're trading, if you're just starting, stick to the ES, because that one's a little more tame. Even though the movement's the same, it doesn't go as quickly, nowhere close to as quickly as the NQ does. Okay, so a 5 point move on the ES is probably a 30-40 point move on NQ, and so one thing that I found, well, I wanted to try that account was just because I wanted to see if having a static drawdown would allow me to be a little more aggressive on those trades. And so, and what I mean, if you don't know what a static drawdown is, basically, if you have an account, let's say you have an account with Apex, it's a trailing drawdown, right? What that means is whatever price gets to, right? Let's say price goes up here, okay? You're in the trade, price gets up to this point, and you don't take profit, okay? Your profit, let's say you take profit, price drops, and you take profit here, right? So let's say this was $1,000 and you let it drop to $500. Your trailing drawdown is actually going to be drawn off of this $1,000, even though your realized profit was $500. So if you had a $1,500 trailing drawdown, you now only really have $1,000 left on that trail, right? Because you let it go 1,000 down to 500, right? If that makes sense. Okay, so it's trailing it's not trailing where you took profit, it's trailing where the highest potential for you to take profit was. Okay, static drawdown basically says your drawdown is here. Okay, so long as price doesn't go below that number, and so let's say, and I'll use Elite Trader funding because that's what I'm using. I have a $100,000 account, 100K. My drawdown is only $625, right? So I can get down to like 99, 375. Okay, so 625 for that drawdown. So as long as I don't go below that, I'm good. So as I'm making profit, as I'm starting my account, starting to do this, my drawdown actually gets wider. Okay, so it's not trailing me; it's actually staying down here no matter what I do. As long as I don't go below that, I'm good, right? So I can actually come back down and lose all this account. Then I can lose, 500, get down to minus 500. All right, let's say I'm at, 1,500 up here. I can lose 1,000, get down to, 500. Actually, I can lose more than that. I can lose, if I'm up 1,500, I can actually lose like 2,000. Right, and I'm still above my static drawdown, and so I can actually make that account bounce back. Right, so I love that for NQ. I don't know why I drew them on the opposite charts, but you guys get the idea. It really should be like this, but I love it because again I can control. I don't have to keep in my head where my actual trailing drawdown was, I can just look and say, okay, I know, I'm up, I have $102,000. I know I have $2,600 drawdown, right? So anyway, just wanted to point that out. So I'm testing it out. So far, I do love it for the NQ because again, I'm nowhere close to it. I even took a loss of $500 on one trade. I got greedy, didn't take my profits and let it kind of go against me. But I still had, almost I had still had $1,000+ kind of cushion. Whereas if I was on a trailing drawdown, I would have been pretty close to blowing that account. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. Hopefully that helps somebody. And Elite Trader Funding still has a sale going on. It's not as good as the first one, but you can still get a couple of these accounts for a relatively cheap price. So I'm trying them out, see what's happening. I'm going slow. I haven't passed an account yet, but again, I'm doing it. I'm only doing a few $100s a day, right? So, and then I'm just gonna let it play itself out. So anyway, so that's that. Guys, like I said, not gonna talk too much about what we had today because for the most part, as you can see, this is ES, and let's look at NQ. It's a tough trade, right? It's tough to trade these. So here we confirmed high. We did go down to back down to the 0.5 fib. So there was a little bit of movement there. That was it's only a 5-point move, right? So if I'm looking at what happened today, we're only talking about 10-point range. And if you remember, I ranked like 15 to 20+ points. But here there was only a 4-point range. So yes, you could have gotten 4 points off of that. But it's just a tough, it's a tough trade. Then we actually went and confirmed low. So we had a false day here. So, it's just not pretty, right? Not for me anyway. NQ was kind of the same thing where we confirmed finally, we had some movement, but there's really no, it's hard I can pick this trade up and, there's 20, 30 points there, but I got to be very particular about it. And I also got to be very careful of, I got to be able to withstand a pretty significant move, to the opposite side, right? So that's another 20+ points to the upside. I got to take that heat before I can actually enjoy some of the spoils. So, and I'm running 2 contracts on NQ, which is, $20 a point. So, $20 a point times 20 points, that's $800 I have to actually be able to withstand from a drawdown standpoint, which is, again, one of the reasons why I do like the static drawdown, because I don't have to worry about it flexing on me. I can just keep it where it is. But you got to be able to withstand that just emotionally to be able to do that. So anyway, I'm babbling enough, but just wanted to say this is, and this week really hasn't been a great DR trading week. So don't force it, right? If it's not there, if you're not comfortable, don't leave it alone. Let it go, right? And I say I've been trading some stuff on the Asian just because it moves a little slower even on NQ, and it's just it's been kind of moving in a direction where I can see the movement, take my profit, and I'm talking, I had one trade yesterday, guys, and I might post this in my this is one of my funded account trades on this static drawdown. That trade, I set the trade. It literally went for 0.07 seconds on the NQ, literally 0.07 seconds. And it was a $300 winner because as soon as I pressed the button, the price was dropped and it hit my take profit and I was done. And I was like, what happened? I thought the system had glitched. Looked at my thing and it was, okay, you're in profit. So I might post that in the community page so you guys can see it. But, definitely was a record for trade execution for me. But again, it's just one of those things where it's just, it's a scalping mentality. And, we'll get back to DR. This happened before where DR kind of doesn't work for a minute. But we'll get back to it where it actually, works in a clean fashion. I'm not saying it's not working, right? I'm saying it works, but you got to be very, very specific and very judicious about it. And if you're like me, you don't have time to stare at the chart, it's going to be hard to get in and get out when you're supposed to, right? Still set my alerts every day, still follow the plan, still follow the rules. But if it's not there, it's not there. All right. And don't try to force it. All right. market will be there tomorrow as well. Okay. Anyway, guys, 15 minutes. All right, gotta go. Hey, love on your loved ones. You never know when you won't be able to do it again. So take advantage each and every opportunity. I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me. Any comments, questions, put them in the community tab, and we'll in the comment section, and I'll get back to you. All right. Have a good night.